is Jacqueline from Lichen Sclerosus Support Network, where our mission is to empower people with lichen sclerosus by providing evidence-based education and support so that we can live in a world where those affected by lichen sclerosus are informed, educated, and get diagnosed early. If you find the information in our videos helpful, please consider donating your time or money so that we can continue our LS education support efforts. All right, today's video is going to be an emollient balm and barrier cream product review. It's actually going to be part one. I had too many products to fit into one video, so we're going to split it up into part two. Spoiler alert, in part two, there's going to be products also for the perianal area. It's going to be heavily kind of emphasized in that part two, so definitely stick around for that because I know we get a lot of questions on that topic. And with that, I hope you enjoy this video. Please give us a like. Please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any more LS content. And with that, let's jump into things. Okay, so some quick disclaimers before we move on. The first disclaimer that I want to note is that I personally could not find any scientific studies looking at how any of the products that I'm going to mention today, how they typically perform. I didn't find anything like that. That said, I am a human and I am definitely capable of many errors and faults. So if you are able to find a scientific paper that's been published in a peer-reviewed journal that's looking at the efficacy of any of these products that I mentioned today, then please send it my way. I would love to read that. But for this video, because I couldn't find anything myself, I am speaking purely from lived experience, and I might share what I've heard from the community, from the VLS community, that is. Number two, the second disclaimer I want to add is that the products mentioned today, I am talking about products that are used specifically for the vulva. So when I use an emollient balm barrier cream on the vulva, I'm typically using around the clitoral area. I bring it down to the labia minora, for me where the labia minora would be, because I don't have any. They've kind of resorbed, but I put it where they would be. I bring it down around the vaginal opening, but I don't go inside of the vaginal opening, and I put a little bit on the perineum. I typically am not going to put any on the labia majora, nor am I going to put any in the vestibule itself proper. I'm aware that, there might be some transfer of product, and that's okay. It's just that I'm not explicitly going in and moisturizing those parts of the vulva. The last disclaimer that we want to add is that we do have an Amazon storefront where some of these products can be purchased. And if you do make a purchase there, LSSN does get a small commission that goes towards helping with LS education and support efforts. All right, and the last caveat that I did want to mention, and this one is very, very important as I'm the one testing these products and speaking about how they feel and how they worked for me, is that I have been in clinical remission for a little over 5 years, and during this time I've also been symptom-free. So bear that in mind when I'm talking about things helping or not helping. That is really something that is important to note. Now, if you are confused by the difference between an emollient, a balm, and a barrier cream, you're not alone. I definitely didn't start out knowing what these were. I'm going to give a quick recap, but if you want a more deeper dive into the differences between each of these categories and when you should be using which category of product, we have a video that addresses that. I will pop it up. It's either going to be here or here. I can never remember which side of the screen I am supposed to point to, but it'll pop up somewhere on the top, and I will also link that down in the description box below for you to check out. But really briefly, essentially, the main difference is going to be the consistency. How thick is it or how thin is it? So on the thin side, you have emollients. Think single ingredient plant-based oils like coconut oil or olive oil, right? If you think about that consistency, at least when it's broken down, it's pretty thin, right? As a consistency. Now a balm is kind of a halfway happy point. It's not as thin, but it's not as thick as a barrier cream. So it's kind of in the middle. And then at the complete end of the spectrum, we have our barrier creams. And those are things like Vaseline and Aquaphor. Most folks are familiar with those, right? Think petroleum jelly. It's quite thick. So that's a barrier cream. Again, if you want to know when to use which category, video somewhere, you can find it and check it out. First up, we are going to start with these two. which are pure O2 coconut and castor oil. I decided to give these a go because they are so popular in some of these online spaces and so many people speak so highly of them. So I figured, I'm a big coconut oil girl when it comes to my emollients on a day-to-day use. I'm usually just using plain coconut oil. I do that primarily because it works for my body. It's cheap, it's accessible. That's it, that's all, no frills. So I was curious to learn about their ozonated coconut oil and try that out. And at the same time, there was so much hype about the castor oil that I figured let's give that one a go too. Now I'm going to read a couple things off of their website just to introduce the company and what kind of products they're using, but also to kind of give a better idea as to what it means for an oil to be ozonated, because it's certainly something that I did not know about when I first learned about the product. So I'm just going to read this off of their website. Pure O3 is your only source for certified organic oils, fully ozonated with rigorous quality control to ensure purity, safety, and preservation of each oil's therapeutic properties. Ozone is created naturally when oxygen comes in contact with ultraviolet rays emitted from the sun. Ozone is so safe, it is being used all over the world in operating rooms, organic food industries, municipal water systems, pools, swimming pools, and the list goes on and on. The beauty of ozone is that it leaves sparkling fresh water in a pathogen-free environment with only pure oxygen as a byproduct. All right, quite a mouthful. Again, that came from their website, not me. I am not a pro in all things ozone and ozonated, so you read it off their website. Okay, so as many of you are familiar with, coconut oil, when it's at a certain temperature, will melt. Now, I have the AC blasting, so it's actually pretty cold in this room, so it's kind of solidified a bit. But if this was in a heated room, if it was kind of more on the hot side, this would kind of melt down and become a transparent oil. When it's in its more solid form like this, you'll just kind of scoop it out with your fingers. Now, please, I washed my hands before I touch any of these products, so don't worry, that's being done behind the scenes. But you're scooping it out and it will be kind of in its a more solid form, but you'll see in a minute as you rub it in, it just kind of melts right into the skin. Now, one thing I will say that I noticed immediately with this product was the smell. So for folks, many folks are kind of familiar with the smell of coconut oil, right? It's got that coconutty smell. This is definitely not the case. This smells like a pool, like a chlorine, yeah, like chlorine pool. The smell is very distinct. Now, the smell of like whatever, I don't know what exactly it is in the ozonating process, but it does create quite a distinct smell. So much so that when this was shipped out to me and I opened the box, there was actually a little disclaimer slip saying that the product is not bad, but that ozonated products have a very sharp, distinct smell, but they are ensuring that, this is very, very normal and just a sign of quality product. So I know that for many people, smell is a really big deal when choosing an emollient barrier cream or balm. So if you are sensitive to smells, I will note that this one comes with quite a distinct smell. And even when you put it on, I don't smell it through my clothes, but definitely when I take my clothes off, I can still kind of smell it on me, and it takes a shower to kind of completely get rid of that smell. So as I said before, it's a little bit cold in the room. So it's more hardened shape when I take it out. But as you massage it into the skin, it slowly starts to melt into your skin. I'll try and move it around in a second so that you can kind of see how it's just completely melted down. We can see there's a bit of a sheen. It's kind of hard to see through the camera, but we can see this oily kind of sheen. I will say that for an oil, it doesn't really drip or run too much. It kind of stays put, which is nice. Some oils tend to kind of fall and drip a little bit, so that can be a bit annoying for some folks. Okay, next up is their castor oil. Again, a different smell. Doesn't smell like chlorine. The smell, if you're sensitive to smell, this one definitely does not smell nearly as strong as the coconut oil, but there is still a distinct smell to this one. Maybe kind of like nutty almost. Forgive me, I'm not like a scent connoisseur or anything. Now, unfortunately, when I ordered this one, I don't know what happened, but it kind of broke in the box, or like the cap kind of came undone in the box and some product spilled out. It is very, very hard to clean. So that was a little unfortunate, but nonetheless, I've been using it. And so I'm not going to tilt it because it's fully melted down. The castor oil does not solidify like coconut oil. So it's always going to be a little bit liquid. So I'm not going to tilt it or it's just going to pour out. We don't want that. So I'm just going to again dip my clean finger. It's quite thick, I will say. This is probably the thickest oil I have ever seen. You can kind of see it here. It's slowly dripping down. And then again, going to massage it into the skin. It is significantly thicker than the coconut oil, but again, melts right into the skin. You can see that kind of sheen again. So we've got that oily sheen. And once I've massaged it into the arm, it doesn't really drip down anymore. It kind of stays put. Now, if I'm comparing the two, personal preference, I actually do prefer the coconut oil despite the smell. The reason for me is I actually like the thinner nature of the coconut oil one. The castor oil is very nice at night, but because it is a bit heavier on the skin, I don't find personally that it has as much glide. And I'm someone who's quite active during the day, who's going to be at the gym, who's walking around. And, you know, that friction, I like for it to really be smooth and glide easily. This one I find is a little bit slicker because it's thicker in consistency, but that's just a personal preference. I found both in terms of doing their job to moisturize, soothe, and protect the skin. Both did their job. I was happy with both. I will say that it is important to note, and I should have added this as a disclaimer in the beginning, and I probably will record one and add it, splice it in somewhere. But I am testing all of these products on skin that is in remission and that has been in remission for 5 years, and I do not currently have any symptoms. So for me, I don't know that I found any added benefit over and above standard coconut oil. It worked just the same in terms of doing what it did. So nothing negative, but I don't know that I saw any benefit personally from how the skin looked to how it felt. That said, others may find a difference if their skin is not yet in clinical remission and they do find that they're still having symptoms. So it still could be a product for folks to test out. All right, now we're going to go through some balms. Now, balms, remember, they're that in between. They're not too thin, they're not too thick. They're kind of that happy medium. Again, there's nothing wrong with any of these products. Find what works for you. But I will say that since I've kind of started my LS journey, have really fallen in love with the balms, that middle space. I love the texture of it. It's so nice. And because it's a bit thicker than the oils, it does have a little bit more staying power. So it stays on the vulva, less likely to kind of drip and leak out. Where you do have that with some of the oils, even the ones that I just showed you, when it's really, really hot out, if you're using a nice amount of product, it can kind of move a little bit more. These will stay a tiny bit more. So I've got 3 balms that we're going to review. One is FemmeSense Balm. It's kind of hard to see. The second is Vmagic by Medicine Mama. Then the third one is Enchanted Rose by Intimate Rose. All right. We know I love me some FemmeSense Balm. To date, nobody can match this texture. This texture is liquid gold. It's so buttery and soft and smooth. I just adore it. The other thing that's nice about FemmeSense Balm, there's not really any smell. So if you find that you are somebody that is sensitive to smells in their products, this might be a good one for you because it's pretty close to neutral. I'm actually still smelling a bit of the ozonated products, even though I washed my hands, but this one's pretty neutral. So again, like the others, this comes out solid when we're in a cold room like I am now, but in the heat, this will become more liquid. So just be careful. If it's hot, don't just open and squirt out. I've made that mistake once, and like there was just a stream that just whoosh, shot across my room. It was great. Okay, so I've taken a little bit of product here. It's kind of hard to see on the screen. It's got a little bit of a yellowish tint, but it's mostly a whitish, pale yellow tint. So again, saw how it goes, melts right into the skin right away. The texture is just so, so good. I'm just so in love with this texture. I wish that everybody could like feel through the screen because it's wonderful. Not as much as a sheen as the oils, but a little bit of a sheen. And again, this stays put for the most part. Again, it is true that in a very heated environment, most products may kind of become a little bit more liquid and run a little bit more. But for the most part, I find that the FemmeSense Balm stays pretty well on the skin. So some of the key ingredients in this are shea butter. We've got some olive oil. We've got some grapeseed oil, some hemp seed oil, there is some castor oil in this. There's also some vitamin E, some really great ingredients in this. Very, very, very soothing, very hydrating, and to me, like zero irritation. The exact opposite. It's just I adore this product. As you can tell, it's very, very used up. Need to get more. Okay, next up is Vmagic Medicine Mama, another balm. So again, neutral smell. Very, very mild. I don't even know how I would describe it though, but it's quite mild. And I've never noticed when I put it on, I've never noticed any odor on me. So I'm going to take some out. It too is pretty solid in its jar. Now, this one you can tell, it's actually kind of like a bright yellowy greeny color. Again, I'm not like a color specialist, but it's definitely not white. It's definitely not clear. So if you are wearing white underwear and you wear a lot of this, you may find kind of yellowy streaks on your underwear. That might be the kind of like downside. But if you're wearing darker underwear, you might not see that as much. So like the other balm, when you take it out, you can kind of see it's not running down. It just kind of stays there. And then again, when I put that on my arm, just kind of melts right down. It feels a little bit thinner than the FemmeSense Balm when I am rubbing it in, but it actually also has a really nice texture to it. But yeah, definitely thinner. We can see more of an oily sheen on this. But again, I think the thing that most people will say is just the color sometimes staining the underwear a bit. So it's something to be mindful of there. Whereas the FemmeSense Balm is completely neutral in color and doesn't really leave any stains on underwear or clothing, which is, again, a big concern for folks. So again, here for the Vmagic, we have some really nice ingredients as well. So some of those include extra virgin olive oil, there's some beeswax, there's some extra virgin avocado oil, there's some honey, propolis blend, I might be saying that wrong. There's organic royal jellies, there's some sunflower in it, some more propolis, and some sea buckthorn oil is the last ingredient. So again, some nice ingredients, some pretty neutral ingredients that don't tend to irritate most folks. Again, I do find it to be incredibly hydrating, very, very nice consistency, almost no smell, so nice. I think the color and the staining might be the only issue with it, but again, for some folks, it's worth it to have the relief. So there's that. I will also just put out a call for anybody listening. If you have tips for removing stains from oils and balms and all of this stuff on underwear or clothing, please drop it all in the comments, okay? We are looking for whatever tips you have to get the stains out of underwear or clothing. Okay, last one is going to be Intimate Rose's Enchanted Rose. Now, when we're talking about smells, let me tell you, I was nervous about this one. I really was, because I am not a rose smelly girl. Like, I don't like the smell of rose in products. Fresh roses are nice, but in products I don't like. It's too floral, it's too heavy. It's not my thing. So I was quite concerned that this was going to smell like potpourri when I got it. But I was pleasantly surprised that it does not. It has a very subtle smell, maybe a little hint of rose, but it is very, very subtle. Yeah, very subtle. Still a little bit more of a smell than FemmeSense Balm, but again, it's subtle. And once I put it on, I don't notice the smell either with clothes on or off. So this, as we can see, again, at a kind of cold, air-conditioned room is hard, but this will soften once we remove it and put it into the skin. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, here we can see the color is almost like petroleum jelly like. It's very clear. There's not a distinct color to it. It's kind of like an off-whitey, transparent color, if you will. So again, if I take it out and just hold it on my finger, we can see it doesn't drip, it kind of stays. And then as we massage it into the skin, it just melts right down. So I would say that this one, again, is a little bit maybe thinner than the FemmeSense Balm, but not by much. Again, we do have that oily sheen that you can see. Typically, once I apply this, it doesn't really run, it doesn't stay put. It is incredibly hydrating, very, very soothing. Honestly, all three of these balms are great to me. It's nice when you walk. I find like the friction and the gliding is nice. It's the right amount of stay power. Not really aggressive with any of the odors, which is really nice. Again, I think the one thing that, some folks have struggled with is just the color of the balm itself and how that can sometimes stain underwear. But if that's not really a concern for you, or you have tips and tricks to get that out, then any three of these would honestly be a great one. Oh, and I did forget to mention some of the ingredients. Again, not going to read these all out, but just to give a kind of sense, you're more than welcome to check out these products and read through everything and make your own decision. But okay, there is sunflower oil. We have some coconut oil. There's some sea buckthorn oil. Again, we have a little bit of rosewood essential oil, some black spruce essential oil. So we've got some essential oils in here. And I didn't personally have any problems with the essential oils in terms of kind of irritating or stinging the skin. Some folks are sensitive when it comes to putting essential oils on skin. I mean, it is kind of diluted in other ingredients, but nonetheless, we all vary in our sensitivity and in the way that our skin reacts. So just maybe flagging that this one does have some essential oils, whereas the other two do not. So if that's something that you're maybe looking to avoid, but personally, I didn't have any issues with this at all, and I can't even really smell that there's essential oils in this. It's really, really soft and subtle. All right, for our barrier cream for today, we are going to be taking a look at CeraVe's Healing Ointment. So this, again, is a barrier cream. This is going to be thicker than anything that we have shown so far. It does have a little new logo, sticker. I don't know. It's a newer product, so I picked it up. Typically, in the past, when I talk about barrier creams, I talk about the traditional Aquaphor or Vaseline, which is just petroleum jelly. Those are the two big ones that usually dermatologists or gynecologists might recommend. It's the ones that most people are familiar with because it's in the drugstores. It's easily accessible to most people. I will say we're not reviewing Aquaphor in this video, but I just want to flag an important note because I flag it anytime I can. The important thing to note with Aquaphor is it is a great product, but it does have lanolin in it, and lanolin is a common allergen. So if you have an allergy to lanolin, you will want to avoid Aquaphor healing ointment. CeraVe's healing ointment, however, is lanolin free. So that is a plus for anybody that does have that sensitivity or allergy to lanolin. Okay, so, oh my gosh, opening this, there we go. I think it just got a little stuck there. I don't usually have that kind of difficulty with it. So even squeezing it out, it's a little bit tougher to squeeze out compared to other squeeze bottles that I've used because it's thicker. So most barrier creams, again, are going to be very translucent, very like white / translucent, kind of clear-y color. Again, it's really going to stay here. I can like flip my finger in every direction and it's going to kind of stay here because again, it's very, very thick compared to the others. Now, when I put this on my arm, it doesn't immediately melt into the skin. It takes a little bit more working, but then it kind of melts and softens into the skin. It's still a little thicker in consistency than the balms. So again, this is going to be more for folks that want a little bit more protection. So if you have any cracks, cuts, fissures, open wounds, you might want to put some barrier cream over top, especially before you urinate, because when urine gets in a little fissure, it can really sting. So if you have that little barrier cream over top, it kind of acts as it protects the skin from external irritants such as urine. But again, I really, really like this one. Honestly, I prefer this to all the other barrier creams that I've tried before. It really like melts into the skin nice and then it stays put, which I love. It's just a very simple product. Again, for the allergy factor, there's no lanolin in it. There's a bunch of ingredients that I cannot pronounce. So in terms of the inactive ingredients, there's ingredients that I can't pronounce, but you can always check that out at their website or your local drugstore, chat with your pharmacist, chat with your dermatologist, see if this would be a good option for you. It is petroleum based, so if you are looking to avoid petroleum ointments, then this is probably not the product for you. But if you are okay with petroleum, then this can be a really great one. Okay, last but not least, we have a little, I don't know, like maybe a bonus option. It's not that it's a bonus option, it's that I'm not too sure where I would place this product. It's definitely not a barrier cream. It is a lotion. So again, maybe not, maybe it's in the emollient-ish category. But this product was introduced to us at the American Academy of Dermatology. It is DerMend Mature Skin Solutions, and it is a moisturizing anti-itch lotion. Now, it's steroid free. This is not meant to replace your treatment plan. So it's not a replacement for your steroids or your calcineurin inhibitors. We still want to use this, right? All of these are adjuncts. So is this. But if you've still got a lot of itch, this might also help while you're waiting for the medication to kind of work so that you can get that anti-itch benefit. Now, it does have an ingredient, this one I might butcher. It does have an ingredient called pramoxin hydrochloride, 1%. Again, it's not a steroid, it's an anesthetic, it's an over-the-counter product used to help reduce itch. So for folks who, are using topical steroids or calcineurin inhibitors, but are still feeling a bit itchy, especially in their non-treatment days, this might be a nice product for you. Again, definitely not a barrier cream, but think kind of emollient and in that kind of category, right? So comes in a bottle like this. Actually, I'm just going to open it like this to get a sense of the smell again. Quite mild. It kind of just smells like a bland white lotion. There's no strong smell on this. And again, I didn't really notice any strong smell when I used it. It is white. I didn't notice any kind of staining of my underwear when I tried this. So I'm gonna take a little bit, I'll do it like this. Okay. So got a little strip of that moisturizer here. take it into my other hand. It's very soft. This is definitely a cream. It's definitely not, it's definitely a lotion. It's definitely not a thick, heavy cream or a barrier cream. You can see here, it's already starting to run down. So it is on that thinner side. Whereas if we took that CeraVe healing ointment and we did a little standoff, this would still be going. In fact, if you want to stand off in future videos, let us know. We can do emollient barrier cream standoffs, but you can see it's running. Okay, so before it runs completely off my hands, let's rub it in. Okay, again, it's very, very gentle, very mild on the skin. Definitely on the thinner side. So again, I am thinking this would be more in the emollient kind of category. It's quite thin. It takes a lot more time to kind of work this into the skin. But again, a very, very, very nice, gentle texture. Once it's rubbed in, though, it kind of does stay put. It's just when you initially kind of take it out that you're not going to see that staying power that kind of these barrier creams do. Now, in terms of the itch, I unfortunately can't speak to if it helped or not, because as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I am currently not symptomatic. So I can't really evaluate this in terms of its ability to reduce itch because I'm not itchy. What I can say is when I use it on the vulva, it didn't bother me. I didn't have any reactions. It felt quite nice and soothing. Actually, there is a bit of a cooling effect that I'm even feeling now. It's not like, what are those products like, like icy hot or like deep cool or whatever that you go to, like, and you put it on and it kind of like has a freeze effect. It's not that intense, but it is a very subtle kind of cooling effect, which can also be really nice for itch and pain. So again, I can't speak from a this helped my symptoms perspective, but it does feel really nice and I didn't have any issues. If anyone in the comments has tried this product and wants to share their experience, we would love to hear your feedback. That said, I mean, we would love to hear your feedback about any of these products mentioned. And again, we are going to have a part 2 of this video. We're going to do a few more Vulvar products in that one, and we're going to be highlighting a lot of products for the perianal skin. We get a lot of questions about that, so we'll be doing a lot different reviews on those ones, so you can look forward to that next month. All right, that is it for part 1 of our Emollient Barrier Cream Balm product review. We are going to have a part 2, so more products and discussions and tryouts to come. Stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please feel free to share your favorite emollients or any thoughts in the comments below. And with that, we will catch you in the next one.